Nigeria Info, and yes, we're live. This is Travel and Culture, always on the radio every Saturday, coming to you live from our studios here in Victoria Island on Nigeria Info FM. You can trust us all the time because what we do is bring you exclusive knowledge every time on the show. Exclusive, keyword exclusive. That's what we do here. And of course, on the show, what we do is talk about travel, all of the issues that goes with traveling, tourism, ensuring that we convince you as much as possible to explore the world as much as possible. See, you only have one life to live. You have to explore the world. Go to somewhere else. Go somewhere else. Go check out another person's culture. Understand their own perspective of the world. Explore it. Open your mind. That's the biggest thing you can ever do for yourself. When you're able to tell, someone else, when you're able to, speak in public and person say, this person is so exposed because you're well traveled. And that's what we do here on the show. But before we begin, we have guests in the house. Trust me, we have guests in the house. You have to guess Lagos. Very briefly, today's own is the test of time. You have to guess because, trust me, the first person to guess this one is going out with me. Only exclusive. So you have to guess exactly where we're going. It's in your hands right now for you to guess exactly where we're going. This one is, I would say, is very simple, but let's still put it out there. Remember the first person, the very first person. Lagos, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's find out exactly where we're going today on the show. Make sure you are available today, first of all. Make sure that you are able to come out, first of all. And today, I want to give priority to the phone lines. I'm sorry to all the diaspora people today. I want to give priority to the phone lines. So I'll take your calls right now. 0201 277 0993 0201 465 7190. Who's my winner? Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Hi, good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Lawa Sophia.
Okay, tell me, Sophia, where are we going today?
We are going to Ghana.
Ghana! All right, Ghana. Sophia says Ghana. Lovely one, Sophia. Thank you so much for calling. Let's find out from more persons now. Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Emmanuel.
Hi, good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This Monday from Ikoyi.
Monday from Ikoyi. Tell me Monday, where are we going today on the show?
We are going to South Africa.
South Africa. How are you so sure it's South Africa?
I'm sure. I know the music. Myself.
You know the music.
I'm a fan of Amapiano, yeah.
This one sounds like Amapiano to you, my brother. Don't go and regret your answer.
Did. I know.
All right.
I know the music myself. Then.
All right. Thank you so much. One thing I always tell people here: sometimes you think you know, but then you find out later. We've done it several times on this show. You find out you don't know. Hello. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning. What's your name? Where you come from?
This is Peculiar.
Peculiar, tell me, where are we going today on the show?
Okay, I think house music.
Mm-hmm.
South Africa.
South Africa. How are you sure it's South Africa?
By the sound.
By the sound? Have you listened to Tanzania?
Sorry?
Have you listened to Tanzania house music?
No.
Don't worry, I'll catch you. Don't worry. You are sure of your answer, Abi? Your final answer, you can't change it right now. You're sure it's South Africa, Abi?
Yes.
All right. So stay with South Africa. Thank you so much, okay?
Welcome.
All right. Thank you for calling. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. This is first time caller on your show.
Oh, thank you so much for calling. All right. Tell me, where are we going today on the show?
Don Duque from Savoyaba.
Oh, all right.
Central African Republic. Yeah.
Central African
Republic.
Republic.
Yeah.
My brother. Central Africa. How did you think about this? Yeah? How did you land here? You know what?
What I was hearing from the background. That will make me choose there. Yeah.
My brother, you go this journey. You go on your own. Only you go on this journey. I will not follow you.
You left me on my own.
My brother, you're on your own. Oh. You are on your own on this one. Yeah? But we'll try. We'll try. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for calling. Lagos, we're running out of time. We have to dive right in. Trust me, we have to dive right in. I have so many calls. I have so many messages here. A lot of people are telling me where we're going. But we have to dive right in. Trust me. We have to dive right in. It's wonderful. I want to continue, but we have limited timing. And guessing correctly as well. I see so many other messages on WhatsApp. I know you guys are correct. Don't worry. Today, you experienced South Africa a little bit, okay? Don't worry about that. Because right here with me in the studio, as always, we have the Consul General of South Africa here with me, Professor Bobby Moore. I don't want to miss that. He's a professor. You earned that degree. We have to give it to you very well. Good morning and welcome again on the show.
Good morning, Emmanuel, to you, and good morning to your listeners. I was very fascinated by the response for Central African Republic. That was a good one.
Central African Republic.
Yeah, very innovative.
Well, if you listen more often, you hear responses and you'll be shocked. But yeah, my listeners are fantastic. They always try their best because they do this manually. Like, they want to explore their mind and they want to open up their mind to more cultures and be able to distinguish, the different languages we have in Africa. Africa is large and we have different cultures here in Africa. Only in Nigeria, the tribes and the languages are plenty. But let's get into the thick of the action. Thank you so much for making it our time to be here again on the show. Of course, as everybody knows, the South Africa's Freedom Day is very, very important, and that's what we're celebrating, and that's why we're coming together, because as Nigeria and us, South Africa, we are one body, one soul. We're one Africa. We're brothers with sisters, and every one of your people are my people, and my people are your people, and that's why we have this great relationship. So thank you once again. But tell me, what is happening differently this year?
Well, Emmanuel, we thank you for giving us this platform once again for this conversation to take place. This platform gives us an opportunity to have a conversation about social cohesion between South Africa and Nigeria. And for us to succeed in doing so, we had to package certain programs that seek to bring people of South Africa and Nigeria together. Last year, we were right here during this period in your studio to introduce South Africa Week, and we appreciate the fact that we are here again. So this year, we have kick-started South Africa Week with an evening of cinematography. Last night, we showcased a very interesting movie called Soft Love. It was premiered on the 24th of October 2024, and it started screening on Prime Amazon on the 25th of October. And since then, a lot of people have shown interest. But what is even more interesting about the movie is that it chronicles the life and times of a couple. And I call them a South Nigerian couple because the lady Pabi is a South African, and she's the scriptwriter. She's the scriptwriter of the movie. And the husband is Nigerian, Holmes Awa. And both of them put together this very piece of a beautiful story, a beautiful love story. And when we were showcasing it last night, I said to the audience that this movie is for those who have given up on love, because there are so many takeaways out of the movie. But most importantly, what it taught us is that you never give up on love, regardless of the circumstances that you find yourself in. You keep on moving on until such time that you realize that this is exactly where you belong. So that's the message that we got from the movie.
It's very interesting because, we've been looking back and forth at, Nigerian and South African love. Yeah. And over the years, it's not been very rosy. It's been a journey, because, there are phases in the journey. There's when it's right, there's when it's wrong, there's when you have issues. But, for the past 3 years, I think so far, we've had very uneventful and beautiful journey, so far. What do you think, have resulted in this journey that we've experienced, this very seamless and beautiful journey, at least for the past 3 years that we've experienced in Nigeria and South Africa?
I think on our part is that we have become more expressive about the relations between South Africa and Nigeria. In the past, we used to sweep everything under the carpet because we had this idea that there are so many sensitivities that are characterizing the relations between South Africans and Nigerians. And we overlooked the fact that these are the issues that we must actually bring into the fore. Have an open conversation amongst ourselves, create platforms that begin to enable us to have honest conversations, navigate the challenges that we are facing together, and come up with common solutions. And one of the ideas that came up was the creation of South Africa Week 3 years ago, where we have a number of segments where we put South Africans and Nigerians together under the same room. We've got trade and investment fairs, trade and investment roundtable discussions where you have South African business and Nigerian business, cultural evenings. You also have what we're going to host today, which is Freedom Day. Tomorrow we have a golf tournament, a South African golf tournament, where you will have South African businessmen and Nigerian businessmen battling it out in the fairways, but at the same time creating the beautiful friendship while discussing certain deals within the business environment. After this show, we are going to Pick and Pay. Now, what are we doing at Pick and Pay? It's part of our economic diplomacy strategy. We are showcasing South African products in Nigeria, but the idea is to make sure that we increase importation of South African products in Nigeria. So today we will be having a display of many favorite a lot of favorite South African products on display in Pick and Pay.
So let's look back at that. Let me take a cue from that. How can Nigeria businesses enter into South Africa more? Because, they say in Nigeria, you have one hand and you have another hand. You have to make sure, that both hands work together. So it can't be one side only. It has to be both sides. So how are you And Nigerian businesses, do they have access to South Africa, and how can they do that?
Let me start it this way. Firstly, by appreciating the Nigerian government for creating an enabling environment for South African businesses to succeed. Today, we have over 100 South African companies that are operating in Nigeria. But the situation is not the same in the case of Nigerian companies operating in South Africa. You have very few companies from Nigeria operating in South Africa. One amongst them is Access Bank, which has a number of branches there, and a few others. But one of the challenges we are facing now is to convince Nigerian business that it is possible to have a seamless process of registering companies in South Africa. And some of the complaints that we have received from Nigerian business was the red tape that is in place, unlike in Nigeria, where it is quite very easy compared to South Africa to establish business. So government is looking at these red tapes that are prevalent in order to make sure that we unlock these potentials. But there are many, many other Nigerian businesses that are in South Africa, especially small businesses, which we don't often talk about. We normally focus on big businesses, blue chip and so on, but you also get a lot of Nigerians who are doing businesses in the hair salon, shoemakers, restaurant, nightclubs and so on. Quite a number of them who are doing that. But I think those who are in the small business sector are often ignored. And I think Dr. Lose can also speak to that. How do we even begin to integrate small businesses into the broader scheme of the economy so that it is also counted into the GDP? But South Africa remains open to Nigerian businesses. On a weekly basis, on a daily basis, we get visa applications for Nigerian businessmen who are either partnering with South African businesses on a 49 to 51% partnership, or who are buying goods and services from South Africa. In fact, South African products are quite very popular in Nigeria, and that makes us quite very proud, because that on its own symbolizes the nature of relationship that we enjoy with Nigerians. But we need to have more conversations about this relationship. We need to have a paradigm shift from believing that this relationship is so sensitive to an extent that we can't even stimulate dialogue amongst ourselves. People who love each other fight all the time, but they also reconcile. That is what must set Nigerians and South Africans apart from the rest of the world. Without South Africa and Nigeria, there can never be successful industrialization and development in the continent. And that is the truth that we can never ignore.
And without Nigeria and South Africa, there cannot be successful industrialization. Even if you're industrialized to an extent, there cannot be, it cannot be, we can't call it absolute success, except Nigeria is also part of it, because we have a lot to offer as well. But one of the things that, people would always drag and always hold for is visas, because, the average Nigerian always want to visit South Africa, whether it's for business purposes, whether it's for tourism. It's always been a challenge. I remember last year we spoke about this, and you shared some insights, and I hope the Nigerians, because I got some positive feedback, but then we also got some, some not so positive feedback as well.
I think from the last time we spoke up to now, we can say with the greatest confidence that despite the circumstances under which we operate with constrained manpower, we have really seen a lot of improvement, and we even receive messages from the public. I think what needs to be done really is to advise people to get accustomed to compliance, because there are certain instances where a friend of mine can apply for a visa, but he might overlook one or two things because he's friends with the Consul General. But now when the auditors come for the audit process, they don't recognize that. They want compliance fully. But we have since made improvements. I mean, for those people who apply as groups, either for weddings in South Africa, you get about 50, 60 people applying to attend a wedding, a party, or a pilgrimage. We assist them in making appointments with VFS, and we send their list to VFS in order for facilitation of their visas. But not only that, once we receive their reference numbers as well, we adjudicate their visas as a group, such that if one of them receives, the rest of the group receives. This is a service that never existed before. But again, we also invite representatives of groups to the embassy for them to receive briefings about the do's and the don'ts. We share the checklist with them. Remember, we are not getting paid to reject visas. Government can never invest money for us to come here in Nigeria and reject visas. We are paid to make sure that we facilitate the ease of business between South Africa and Nigeria. But how do we do that? By issuing visas. So it is not in our best interest to reject visas. And it's not about even receiving revenue, because the South African visa is one of the cheapest visas that you can ever find. It's less than 40,000, except if you want a special service where some additional costs are imposed by.
But even if you require additional services, like how much are we talking about? How much will it get to?
I think if you go for a special service where you go to an executive lounge, you probably pay about not more than 100,000. Yeah, it's less than that.
But then we see Nigerians paying 500, a million.
Remember, we had a discussion about this last year, and one of the things that I indicated is that those who are listening must tell those who are not listening that they must never, ever believe that there are agents who are working with the South African consulate, either in Lagos or in Abuja. We don't work with agents.
But these things work. They see it work for other people, so they believe it.
Well, unfortunately, most of the people who do this through that, they get returned at the airport. We get that information because many of these visas cannot be authenticated by us. But there are also those clients who do not know how to fill in forms. They may be using services of individuals who are, we've got chief executive officers, MDs of companies who are probably occupied with a lot of work, and they just want somebody who can fill in their documentation and submit. Remember, even if an agent does this for you, where does the agent get your information from? From you as well. So you can even do this yourself. So I know that we had a discussion about this, but it is not necessary for anybody to pay 500 or 1.2 million. We don't charge that. But agents are also creating an impression that they are connected to other people at the embassy. There's nothing like that. A South African visa does not exceed 50,000 nairas if you receive a normal service. You go to Lekki, set up an appointment, and submit your visa. We adjudicate, we give you your visa. There's nothing like 1.2, 1.5.
And what's the time frame for receiving the visas?
The time frame depends really on the merits of your application. We have classifications. There are first-timers whose adjudication process is lengthier because they've never traveled to South Africa. We are still battling with the definition of a first-time traveler because somebody may not have traveled to South Africa at all, but they may have been to 20, 30 other countries. So how do you classify that person? So I suspect that Home Affairs definition of a frequent traveler in this context, it's a person who has been to South Africa multiple times and proven beyond reasonable doubt that they can comply.
Lagos, we're going on a very short break. We'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. We still have the Consul General of South Africa here speaking to us. Don't go anywhere, Lagos. Stay here.
When my children return from school, I don't recognize them. Hello, do I know you?
It's us, mommy.
But these dirty, sweaty uniforms and socks were clean in the morning. Everything don't transform. I understand though. School is hectic. It takes energy to come home this transformed. So I make sure they have some nutritious Milo at breakfast.
Your kids need nourishing energy. Give them Milo at breakfast. It has nutrients that support energy release to help them get the most out of their day. Milo, energy to go further.
Milo.
Janet, what's be this way you buy?
Now oil we are going to use cook now.
Unbranded oil we then put for bottle.
Something when I shaking money and it do me well.
Hey, Janet, make you remember say I wolf the wrong belly.
Which one make I come buy?
Now Devon King's oil. Now correct oil, fortified with vitamin A.
Now correct choice for me and my family.
Yes, sir. You fit buy the one where your money reach and enjoy tasty meals.
True talk. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you, Wella.
Now so, my correct friend. Devon Kings, taste where they bring people together. You fit find them for any store around you.
Introducing the essence of true authenticity in fragrance, Wazobia Perfume, the correct scent. A unique blend that captivates the authentic spirit of Nigeria, now available in both perfume and body spray variants. Designed for everyone. Yes, Wazobia is a unisex fragrance perfect for both men and women. Its rich and versatile aroma is a statement of inclusivity and unity. Unleash your confidence with each and every spray. Are you a retailer or do you love to buy in bulk? We've got you covered across Nigeria. Wazobia perfume comes in cartons of 24 bottles and the body spray is available in cartons of 48 bottles. Interested in making Wazobia perfume a part of your collection or store? For carton purchases, contact us at the email address contact@wazobiacosmetics.ng or call us at 0201 330 0047. That is 0201 330 0047. Our team is ready to assist you with your orders. Wazobia perfume, the correct scent. Your new signature fragrance is just a call or a click away. Authentic, unisex, confidence, Wazobia.
Welcome back to your number one talk, news, and sports station. This is Nigeria Info.
This is still 99.3 Nigeria Info. And yes, you're here with us on Travel and Culture. Like I did say earlier, we have the Consul General of South Africa right here with us in the studio. And he's been speaking to all of your concerns as regards visas. And he's told you that visa for South Africa costs 50,000 naira. So don't go paying 500k, 200k. You can apply for these visas yourself. You don't need anybody. But one of the things that would encourage Nigerians better, Sir Bobby Moore, Professor Bobby Moore rather, is having e-visa processes so that they can do it from the comfort of their home, because we've seen countries like Qatar, we've seen other countries have e-visa processes, and it encourages more people to be able to apply themselves, because when it involves people going to the embassies, going through a third-party partner or agency to be able to process these visas, it gives these people the illusion of difficulty. I go to these VFX places, all around, and I see the crowd, and I'm discouraged. I won't lie. If I'm not desperate to get that visa, I won't even near there. So all of this is what people see, and it gives them the illusion that it's very difficult and they can't do it themselves. What would you say to that?
Let me tell you something quite very interesting. South Africa is currently running a trial campaign, and I think this has been going on for about 3 years or so. To look at the functionality of e-visas and to which extent can it ease the pressure for missions that are actually accepting walk-in applications. This pilot is taking place in China, it's in India, and it's also in Nigeria. I think it's about 4 or 5 countries. So we have been doing e-visas for well over a year now. But the only difference is that the South African missions in Nigeria do not facilitate e-visas. We facilitate walk-in visas. In the case of Lagos, you do your walk-in in the office in Lekki, and there's also VFS office in Port Harcourt. For those who are in Port Harcourt, you also have in Abuja. So even if you have applied for an e-visa and you ask me to assist you to expedite or establish how far the process is, it is very difficult because, as you have mentioned, e-visa is processed online by somebody sitting in South Africa, in Pretoria, at a call center. So that's where the adjudication process is taking place. So the consulate is not necessarily involved in that process because our system is not integrated. You have the e-visa process, which is integrated to the South African system, and we also have our own walk-in. But the answer to your question is yes. In order to make sure that we make the customer experience quite acceptable, we have introduced that e-visa, and we think so far, despite the teething problems that we find there and there, it has been a success, and it has actually reduced the number of applications that we receive. And particularly e-visa is very useful for businessmen who want to do quick in and out to and from South Africa to do whatever they want to do. Most of these e-visas are for about 15 to 20 days. for somebody who wants to go in and out. But most people who want to go to South Africa for a longer period of time, they will apply. They will do the walk-in applications. And I must say that for about 2 to 3 years, we have increased the number of visa stays in South Africa. A lot of people have received 2-3 year visas, especially CEOs of blue chip companies are actually receiving 5-year visas. This is a commitment that we have made 3 years ago when we hosted the Immigration Roundtable to make this undertaking to Nigerian business that we are going to respond to their plea of making sure that their travel to South Africa to do business becomes seamless. So we have issued 5-year visas to a lot of CEOs and for 4 years to others. But for first-timers, of course, it's normally 3 months until you build your profile. So the more you go to South Africa, the more you build your profile, the better chances for you to get a long-term visa. And we have always kept our promises to our clients.
So you mean that the best time to visit South Africa is yesterday. So guys, start processing your visas right now.
Yes.
Start processing your visas. Nigerians have a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions here for you. One actually is commending you. He says the professor in the studio is such a great diplomat. I love his choice of words. If there's one thing I caught on the show today, it is people who love each other fight, but they are also ready to reconcile. And he takes that part, because over the years we've had, like we said, we've had this back and forth, but then we are still a family. We're still here. But I will also ask you, do you see how long now is it going to take before we start seeing what Rwanda has done, whereby is visa free for Africans? Are we going to see that from South Africa anytime soon?
Discussions are still underway with the relevant authorities, but you'd appreciate the fact that some of these issues require political decisions and political will. It is not a subject that South Africa is ignorant to. There's something that has been discussed from the level of the African Union. There's this African Union passport, and South Africa is also subscribes to that. So we are amenable to any form of transformation in our visa regime, particularly with strategic countries such as Nigeria. You know that in Ghana we have actually introduced a visa-free regime for Ghanaians for them to travel to South Africa and stay for a period not exceeding 3 months. Now, I'm not sure whether at this point Nigeria has presented a request. I was part of the Binational Commission which took place in South Africa in December, and His Excellency, the President of Nigeria, led the Nigerian delegation. But I cannot remember whether in the social working group where issues of immigration have been discussed, whether this matter was raised. But I have no doubt in my mind that should this matter be raised by the relevant authorities, to the relevant authorities in South Africa, it's something that can be discussed. I cannot estimate the number of Nigerians who are living in South Africa, very fully integrated within society. Many of them are professionals. When you talk about the most brilliant and successful professors, and I'm sure Dr. Lose can attest to that, many of them are from West Africa, particularly Nigeria. They are well integrated within society, within institutions of higher learning. You've got pediatricians, you've got psychologists who come from Nigeria. You also have very successful businessmen and women and other Nigerians who are very great figures within society who have led by example. They have been in South Africa for many years. They found love in South Africa. They live there. They've made South Africa their home. Some of them are permanent residents of South Africa. Some of them are citizens. So I'm saying this because I don't want our listeners and any other person who may be privy to what is happening on social media to believe that there are these altercations that are happening between South Africans and Nigerians simply because of what we see on social media. When you look at the relationship between the two nations on the ground, you will never believe that it's the way it is now. Because we have improved for the past 3 to 4 years. I can say it with the greatest confidence that we talk about these relations quite very openly compared to the past. And that, I think, has been a paradigm shift from the irregular conversations that we used to have and making sure that we avoid discussing the sensitive stuff. We discuss the sensitive stuff now and we move on to other chapters in our relationship because we are all about building bridges and not destroying bridges. So this is what South Africa and Nigeria is all about. And the unfortunate part is that we have got no choice but to work together from one generation to the other. We must do this for posterity. And it is our generation that must do the right thing by opening these conversations, opening these wounds. As painful as they are, it is our duty to open them, treat them so that those who will come after us can have that knowledge and appreciation of what we have done.
I am tempted to go diplomatic with you, but I will hold my horses. Honestly, I will, because there's so many things happening in Africa right now. If you check social media, you see that there's an uprising growing all around. First, we saw military intervention in some countries, and we're seeing now we're seeing a lot of support for a particular West African country. And we're seeing that the military head is on literally everybody's social media handle, on their DP, talking about Ibrahim. Is everywhere. Everybody's talking about him, and he's just changing the narrative as regards Africa, Western colonization and everything. But I don't want to tackle you on that. It's a friendly day. It's a friendly day. Let's stick to freedom issues.
well, South Africa promotes democracy. South Africa promotes equality. South Africa promotes solidarity. We are hosting the G20 summit in November, and you know that we are presiding over that, and we have had a lot of working groups that have been convening in South Africa and elsewhere, and recently a working group on finance took place in the US, where the Minister of Finance of South Africa attended. But the point I'm trying to make is that without getting too much into the political dynamics of countries in the continent, is that South Africa is about equality. South Africa is about human rights. We are about development. We are about justice. So regardless of what happens in any other country, those are the value systems that anchor our foreign policy. So we believe that any other country that subscribes to those value systems is a country that we can partner with. Fortunately, South Africa does not have enemies at all. So we are friendly, and part of the reason is because we are where we are now, celebrating 30 years of unbroken diplomatic relations with Nigeria, because we have received immense support from Nigeria when supporting apartheid South Africa was not fashionable in the United Nations General Assembly. Ambassador Ibrahim Gambari, who is the former chief of staff of the former head of state, is the one who received former President Nelson Mandela in the United Nations, his first visit to the US after he was released from prison in the UN. And Nigeria was one amongst the first countries to condemn apartheid before the United Nations General Assembly, together with India, when it was not fashionable to do so. Nigeria was chairing the Anti-Apartheid Committee of the United Nations in New York. Nigeria was the only frontline state member who was not a member of the SADC state in the frontline committee in the west of Africa, but is a member of the frontline state. Members of frontline states are countries that come from the SADC region. Nigeria is not from the SADC region, it's from ECOWAS, but it was a member of the frontline states. Nigeria is the one that collected tax from each and every tax-paying Nigerian during the 60s and 70s. To contribute to a fund called the Southern African Development Fund in order to fund South African politicians who were in exile here. Many of them studied at the University of Ahmadu Bello in Zaria, and many of them, their kids were studying here. On a daily basis, I meet old men and women who are saying, my kid used to study with so and so and so at school. I see they are a politician now. So there's a rich tapestry of history that we must leave for the current generation and those who must come after us.
Exactly my point, because we have the generation that is coming after us, and it's only fair that since Nigeria has done this to South Africa is somehow in a way coming back to bring service back to our people, to spotlight issues that we're facing and to support us where at our time of need. I was speaking to you, and we just like this morning, like we always do on Nigeria Info, we talk about domestic violence. We talk about issues that are plaguing Nigeria, human rights abuses, happening all around. some of these things are what you told me, off camera, that you support, and you attest to, you work with Nigerians to try and see how you can build that. We have joining us on the show this morning also, speaking on this, is Eromosele Omohime. Am I correct, Eromosele?
Mom Henley, Eromosele or Mom Henley. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you very correctly. The CG told me about how you're working together, to raise a fund for the
Surely Smile Factory.
The Shola Adefolalu Gaska Foundation.
Yeah, yes. So the foundation literally takes, is it out of school children? What is it exactly? Can you just explain to us?
Yeah, thank you very much. By the way, Eromosele is the name. The foundation, the Shola Adefolalu Gaska Foundation, is pretty much focused on helping victims of domestic violence, South Africans and Nigerian women and children that may be victims, and giving them primarily, first of all, shelter. And not only shelter, but then helping them reorient and give them a better shot at life, chance for a better life. So in terms of reintegrating them, in terms of providing them means of livelihood where possible, and a couple other things. And that in itself aligns very much with the priorities of fundraiser and its parent company called Ekova International. Yeah.
So like you're Nigerian, you are from Edo State, of course. You know that these issues are what we talk about every time in Nigeria, because women literally need safe houses. They need a place to run to for shelter. Literally this morning on the show, we were speaking to a lady. A lady called into the show this morning because we have our relationship 360 in the mornings, and a lady called into the show and was speaking about how she's fled her marriage because of domestic abuse that she's facing in the marriage, and she literally has nobody to turn to, and she has nowhere to stay. She's literally squatting, and I believe these are some of the issues that you seek to address.
Correct. So just for clarity, and of course, hello to the CG as well. Just for clarity, so we are part of Fundraiser. Fundraiser being a U.S. Registered global organization, and it has its mission in empowering everyone on the planet to be able to live happy and healthy, healthier lifestyles. Now, how does that relate to the work that the South African consulate is doing? The key here is that the work of Prof and the team is basically looking, like you mentioned, human rights, right? Trying to make sure that we're upholding human rights. And those two missions align, the mission of Fundraiser and the mission of the South African consulate. So that's why we're coming together to create that opportunity to help fund the foundation to be able to do that more effectively. But of course, to your point, how is it difficult? How can people get this? It's pretty difficult, to be honest, because then people who are already vulnerable in this kind of scenarios, key things get impacted. Their confidence drops. So even the thought of getting back up is also a much steeper climb. So they need a ton of mentoring, they need a ton of coaching to be able to help them do that effectively. And that's why we thought that this was a very critical mission that we wanted to be aligned with, as all parties match for all organizations. And that's why we're putting our weight behind it. And we're super proud to do that.
That's just wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. CG, I would have to say thank you and well done. It's great to see that you're picking up a course like, something you're trying your best to try and fix something. I think that is something that we've not had for a while, where it is focused on a course to address a particular problem that is happening in Nigeria. And I want to say kudos to you and your team for putting this together, because I see the multitude of persons who would really, really benefit, from such programs, because like we say, we have these issues all the time, all the time. They call on the radio to tell us all of their issues and what they're going through, and people are literally homeless, after they run away from domestic violence, in their homes. So it's really great. Well done. And again, kudos to the team,
Thank
Sebo
you.
and everyone. But today, tell us about what we stand to, because I want to really understand what we stand to gain. Coming together today. Are we just coming together because the last time we saw so many, I saw a performance last time. And that was the very first time I saw that performance. The stage was literally shaking. Yes, and we had the High Commissioner join them on stage to perform. That was the first time. Yes, the stage was shaking, and I was like, what's going on? Even when they started walking in, when they started marching in, and they were stomping their foot on the ground, I was like, okay, what's going on? What's happening? Are we safe?
Yeah.
So what more are we seeing this year?
Well, I'm going to give Sebo an opportunity to have a bite at the cherry. But what I can also mention now, firstly, to express our great appreciation to Fundraiser for coming on board. This is an initiative that not only is close to our hearts, but the value systems of South Africa, as I have mentioned. Interestingly, today's Freedom Day celebrations are dedicated to Surely Smile Factory. We are raising funds for Surely Smile Factory. The fundraising approach that we have taken is two-pronged. One is through your information technology, which Fundraiser is using, and one is your in-person contribution. So that's what we're going to do today. So we will be doing announcements during the Freedom Day celebrations in the evening. We've got more than 20 partners, mainly from South Africa, actually, mainly from Nigeria, actually sponsors who have made South Africa Week possible, and we are very grateful to them. They will also be present today. They will also be making pledges towards the Surely Foundation. But we are looking at something more sustainable. They may be making contributions today for the sustenance of the home, but we are looking at private sector institutions or companies that can carry them along for a specific period of time so that this idea never dies. I think Tata Nelson Mandela would have mellowed if he was alive today, he would have mellowed at what we are doing today, because this speaks to the core of what he was passionate about. So we are looking at sustainability, but this is the beginning of the building block of what we want to see for the future, even beyond Sebo's posting to Nigeria, even beyond my posting to Nigeria. We want to continue to tell the same story from a distance, regardless of where we would be. But I'll give Sebo an opportunity to just give us I think she has themed this event today, African Glamour. It's taking place, I think, 7 o'clock or so at the MTN Plaza in VI. She can then unpack on what we are. But I'm sure this time around the stage is going to fall.
Sebo, is that a plan? What do you intend to even feed us? That's even one question, because what do you intend to feed us? You see, I'm waiting for my I will call it triumphant entry to South Africa because I want to really experience the food. But tell me, what delicacies from South Africa are we seeing today?
Tonight we'll be more laid back. The stage won't be falling. You can be rest assured it will be more laid back. Today we are quite raising funds for the Surely Smile Foundation. You're
very passionate about that. You've spoken about this so many times already.
It's very close to our hearts because it's one of those projects that we have in South Africa. We promote human rights, human dignity. Women and children deserve the highest human dignity. We must admit that, because women play a very important role in society. Women birthed us, women nurture us, women grow society. Without women, there wouldn't be any society. So with the Surely Foundation, it's a shelter that houses gender-based violence, women and children, and also assist them to integrate them back into society. Because they've been displaced, most of them, they don't work, they don't have skills, they don't have education. So the foundation, the shelter helps them with skills development. And they also branched out into rural development, assisting women in the rural areas, in the villages, to help them establish small businesses. You know, women are very entrepreneurial.
Oh, yes.
Naturally, we are entrepreneurial. So today's highlight would be to raise funds specifically to continue the shelter, to continue to pay towards their day-to-day expenses. For instance, their rental, day-to-day running food, those sort of things. So today specifically, it's for that basket. But as CG has said, that it's an ongoing project. It doesn't stop today. And we ask your listeners and also everyone out there that please help us pledge and donate what you have to the shelter to help and empower these women, and also take children back to school because they are not at school at the moment.
That's very great. That's very great. We will do that advocacy story. Don't worry. But Sebo, you've now answered the main question, Sebo. Sebo, what am I eating today, Sebo? Sebo, that's the main question. Sebo, that's what am I eating today? Am I not eating? You don't plan to feed me?
Today, we South African delicacies, we are not quite there yet because we were hoping to get our chefs in Nigeria. Unfortunately, with some bit of constraints.
Visa constraints, wow.
No visa constraints.
So what we are suffering in Nigeria, you are still suffering it. Wow. That's nice. So there's a balance. It's very nice.
Constraints, but we will be having Nigerian. We enjoy Nigerian delicacies.
Of course.
There will be the pepper soup.
I said without pepper. Well, thank you so much, CG. Thank you once again. I'll be just in 1 minute. I would love you to also speak again to those processes and how Nigerians who really need these visas and how they can get it again, because it's very important for our callers. That's why we're doing this program, to enlighten people.
Okay. Well, like I indicated, there are two processes. One is the e-visa, which I spoke to. It also requires certain documentation, but fortunately, you don't submit your passport there. You submit copies of everything that serves as a requirement. That's one part. The other one, you have your walk-in applications. In the case of Lagos, it's VFS at Lekki. You log on to www.vfsglobal.com. All the information about the requirements for visa application for South Africa is there. But most importantly, there's a checklist, which is very, very important. A lot of visa rejections are based on non-compliance, and we realize that people do not submit checklists. So we are going to be introducing a new system that each and every application must be accompanied by a checklist that has been ticked. Because if you tick a checklist and it is incomplete, your conscience will tell you that I cannot submit an incomplete application. But we try by all means to process visas as quickly as possible. There are so many different categories of visas. You've got business, you've got relative, you've got tourist, which the most popular one is tourist visa.
Yes.
And the majority of them get short-term visas for 3 months or 6 months because they are tourists. But the more tourist you are to South Africa, the better the chances you get to get a long-term visa, because you've proven beyond reasonable doubt.
All right, thank you so much. That's how far we can take. But thank you so much to the CG. Thank you to his entourage. Thank you to everyone who is in the studio. We have 4 South Africans in the studio right now, and many more joining us online. But I believe and I hope that he has touched every angle that you need, and he has given you the confidence to walk into yourself to process the visa for yourself, e-visa, and to apply for the working visa. And tell me about your trip to South Africa. Lagos, I'll be leaving you now, but I'm not still leaving you. I'm still here with you on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Don't go nowhere. The portal is next. Stay here.
Every day when my children return from school, I don't recognize them. Hello, do I know you?
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.